This resource is called the BPIR.com Business Performance Improvement Resource, which is my company. I developed this website. It was first launched in 2002 when the development work went into it in the year 2000. And we initially developed this as primarily an information resource which collects best practices and benchmarks from around the world. So within, and this is a statement showing what the resource does. So what it says here, it says that the BPIR.com is the world's leading internet-based business information and networking service for improvement-focused individuals and organizations. And hopefully you all believe that, because this person thinks so, okay? But also it's been endorsed by the Singapore Productivity Association and also by Spring Singapore. And within this website, we show, for instance, the different business excellence frameworks around the world. And you can actually search the information within the website through those different perspectives, whether you're using the Baldrige model, the FQM Excellence model, Singapore Quality Award model, Canadian model, or the APQC model. And therefore, what I encourage organizations to do is when they do a self-assessment and they identify all those opportunities for improvement, rather than just brainstorming how to address those opportunities for improvement, they should at least consider, what other organizations are doing. Therefore, go onto a website like this and you can quite quickly go down to the lowermost criteria of these models and search for best practices in those areas. So at least you're considering an external viewpoint on how to improve. So within this resource, there's a huge amount of case studies, articles, benchmarks, self-assessment tools, so on and so forth. But our experience has been similar to Philip's, because we were feeding this information to businesses around the world, but they weren't really logging onto our website to use it. So you can have great information, but not always people want to use it. And so this year, in fact, 2.5 months ago, I launched in Singapore. This is a very clever slide. I spent a lot of time designing this. Look, I launched, I can't get it to go off the page, but launched a networking area of the website. So all our members now can talk with each other and communicate with each other. They can all develop their own personal profile on the website. This guy is a co-director of the BPIR.com called Steve Welch. He also happens to be my brother-in-law. Okay, don't know how that happened. But what you can do on your own personal profile is add the best practices from your organization. So in this case, Steve works for the BPIR.com, so he's saying our best practice is networking. And you can actually not only have a descriptive text sharing information on that best practice, you can also have a photograph of the best practice and a video of the best practice. So we're really encouraging our members to add this information because it becomes far more powerful. And the beauty of this, if you're an organization of 1,000 people and you have maybe 30, you have all those people using the resource, and maybe you've got 30 people adding best practices from their particular area, all those best practices will be collated on what's called their organization profile. So it'll collate for the organization all their best practices in one area. So it becomes like an internal management resource as well as where you can share your best practices with the larger community. But it's up to your organization what you share and what you don't share and who can access that information. But the success of this depends on organizations adding their information. And then the more organizations that add that information, you can then do searches across that information for best practices, for the tools they use, and so on and so forth.